Now I'm going to do a quick overview on the user interface of Marvelous Designer. Here, as you can see, the viewport is split in two parts. On the left side, we have the main 3D viewport where we're going to do all the simulation. And on the right side, we have the 2D pattern window where we're going to create the 2D pattern and all the garment. Here you can see the silhouette of our character. In this way, we can check the sizes and the proportion of all the pieces that we're going to create in relationship to the character. On the left hand side of the toolbar, we can see the simulation button, which is here, and this function can be activated and deactivated as well using the spacebar. Here there are different kinds of simulations: fast, normal, and more accurate fabric. I tend to use the normal and only switch to the accurate at the end of the process. Then we have the gizmo. We can tap on our avatar on the garments, and this is going to be our gizmo, which we can activate also using the Q shortcut. And then there are pins, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So if we go here on the 2D pattern window, using the shortcut S, we can create a square of fabric. Here now the fabric is being created, and we can select and move it with our gizmo. So something that we can do with these pins, for example using the pin box, we can pin some of these corners and then simulate. And you can see that this piece is holding into place, and we can use these pins to basically move and reshape the fabric as we want, and we can continue to move them even during simulation. Here in the 2D pattern window, we can create a garment using the S key. We can create a square, for example, and here using the A key we can manipulate. Also, if we copy and paste using Ctrl C and Ctrl V, we can see with the same A key we can select multiple pieces and manipulate them together. Now on the next tool we have Edit Pattern with Z, and we can move vertices or edges. We can also edit curve point with V, so we can move the points or add more points and reshape the garment. We can also edit curves with C, or add point with X. We can also select one edge with Z, right click and split, and here we can decide very precisely how we want to split, or we can do a uniform split and decide the number of uniform split that we want to do on each edge, for example. Then we can draw patterns with the H using the polygon draw tool, or using the rectangle with S, or an ellipse with the shortcut E. If we hold Shift, we are going to do circles, and the same with the square tool. We can draw rectangles, or holding Shift, perfect squares. Next are the sewing tools. Here is Edit Sewing, and this is Segment Sewing. The shortcut is N. In order to sew these two pieces of fabric, I first click on one edge and then click on the next edge. And you can see these lines have been created. These are the sewing patterns. In order to know that these are correct, pay close attention to these two ticks. These two ticks lines are going to give us the direction of the sewing. Now if I want to simulate these and see how these are going to weld, I can, for example, pin here and simulate. And you can see that these two pieces are stitched correctly. Now I can go back and using the B key select the sewing, and with the Ctrl B I'm reversing the sewing, and then I can simulate again. And this way you can see that these two pieces are not connected properly. So what I need to do is go in again with the B key, edit sewing pattern, and Ctrl B, reverse the sewing pattern. And now again these have been properly welded. So every time you're sewing different garments, always pay attention to these tick lines. These are going to give us the direction of the sewing. Let's go back to fabric now, and I'm going to show you how you can use texture to import pre-made patterns. So we can create another fabric and call this pattern. And here with the S key, holding shift, we can create another square. This is going to be our reference image. I can assign the material, and here under pattern I'm going to add a texture. Let's say we want to use this reference of this kimono here. Here this image has been applied as a texture. Now using the T shortcut I can manipulate this texture and I can move it. Here I can scale it until this is going to fit this square. Then I can go out of edit mode and go back to the regular mode. And here I can basically trace this image to create new patterns. Here I'm using the polygon tool and I'm going to create my new pattern. Here now I'm going to select with the A key and move it and assign another material. So now this is my garment created, and this is the image that I use as a reference. So that concludes this quick intro to Marvelous Designer. See you next time.